Hey everyone, Marcin here, and today I'm going to be talking about Mario Wonder, except this time with spoilers. Now, I kind of don't want to talk about this because there is going to be some negativity in it, and I feel like a lot of people are just really amped about Mario Wonder and they don't want to hear that. So I'm going to go over all the good stuff. The game has all of the Nintendo magic that I could want. There's new enemies, there's old returning enemies, they act pretty much the same. Some of them have some differences, but they're there, and I think that's perfect. I think it's the perfect blend of old, recreating some of the old, and just adding new enemies and stuff in general. I think it's a great mix. The creativity with the levels, it's honestly insane. For how many levels there are, the fact that there's wonder seeds in, I believe, all of the levels for the most part. I mean, some of them you're just going after one wonder seed. I don't know what it's called, but whatever the thing is that transitions you into like the magic world or whatever, where things are going all crazy, that's in pretty much every level. So that's crazy. So you already have the creativity of all of the designs, the enemies, and all of that. Then you also have the fact that these levels go crazy with the Wonder Seed stuff. So there's a ton there. The negative thing, and this is where, I don't know, maybe I'm just becoming an old fart, honestly, because I feel like this would not have been a problem when I was a kid. And I don't know if it's just me getting older or changing of the times where I'm just expecting more. I don't know. But I'm already done. And by that, I mean I've done everything. And you could just chalk that up to me having no life. I don't think that's what it is. Because the only other thing that I could think of, because it didn't take me that long to do, I can't see the exact time because the Switch, for whatever reason, you have to wait like 2 weeks before you can actually look at your playtime. So I want to say 10 to 15 hours. And I feel like it's more on the lower side, more towards 10. And I just don't really think that's a ton to do everything. So before I get downvoted to oblivion, just give me some time to explain all of this because everything else about the game is great. So one of the things that I had thought of, which is going to sound really arrogant and cocky, is I think a part of it is just I'm really good at these games. So when I was a kid, I would probably spend a lot longer on some of these levels, where now it really didn't take me long. And I think one of the biggest things, which if they didn't have it this way, I think would have added a lot more game time for me, is the fact that the 10 coins, 10 baggers, as DGR would call them, if you collect them and die, you have them. That was great in terms of being like, oh, phew, I don't have to deal with that. But there were some levels where I got it, instantly died, and then I just didn't have to get it again. And it made that section easy. I remember there was one part, excuse me, where there were things timed. And you had to keep going faster and faster. Otherwise, you would end up falling into the acid or whatever it was. And I was just able, like, when I got the coin, I was not fast enough. But I already got the coin. Didn't matter. And I could understand it if it was like, you know, you get the coin and then you hit a checkpoint or something. Didn't even need to do that. I got the coin, died, and then I started before the coin, and it was already collected. And I think that change alone made it to where it was, which maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the other ones weren't like that. The other Mario Bros. I could have sworn they were. But I feel like that really did make it to where it was so much easier. I think there were a lot of levels that I would have had to play through again to be able to 100% it. And then when it comes to the difficulty of the levels in general, I think that's what messed it all up. Because in my previous video, which I'm going to keep that the way it is, I'm going to edit it. So maybe this part Oh my goodness, my voice. So maybe this part won't be in it. But I had talked about how there seemed to be like some actual difficulty, and it was cool because it was happening within the first world. It really didn't take me long though. Like even the ones that were difficult, it would take me like a couple tries and I had it. So the only levels that were like really, really, really hard were in the super world. I think that was the only time I had like a really real like challenge. And again, I think the coin thing really killed it. I really think that's what made this to where I finished everything so quickly. Because there were some levels where if I had to go through and beat the whole level, I mean the checkpoints would have definitely saved the coins too, so that would have been a thing, but not being able to just collect the coin and like you could just die and still have the coin. If that wasn't there, I think there would have been a lot more playtime added because thinking back, there were levels where it was like, oh, like I'm done. Whereas I think I would have taken a lot longer because the way I played the game was I just 100% of the world and then moved on. So I didn't really go back. There were some that I had just like forgot or whatever. So then I went and did those. But for them, which I don't know how I had missed one, but regardless, I think that only happened like once or twice. All the rest, I just made sure I got every single thing in the world, then moved on to the next one. So I really do feel like that one change, which again, I'm pretty sure it's a change. You know what? Okay, so I did look it up. It was very weird to type, but I did find the answer. So yeah, you used to lose the coin unless you got a checkpoint. And then like so you got the coin, then got a checkpoint, then it would save that you had that. But if you got another coin after and then died, if you didn't get another checkpoint, you lost that coin. So that change really did make it to where this game was a lot easier for me because I feel like they nailed everything else, literally everything else. They nailed it. And I feel like that one change is what separated all of this to where, because when they make these games, they want it to be accessible to all players and they want it to be fun for everyone. So, which I totally get. And they would have had that if they just didn't change that one thing. Because, again, thinking about the difficulty of the levels, they weren't really that hard until the super world. There was like 2 levels in the super world where they were pretty tough. The last one was ridiculous. But even then, it didn't take me that long to do it. But I think they did place the checkpoints to where the coin thing wouldn't have been as crazy. But that's just that one level. The other levels, there is no doubt in my mind that I would have had a lot harder of a time. Because I would have had to have actually gotten the coin the way they intended. That's the part that I don't understand. It's not an oversight, but it almost feels like it is. Because I also recall a level, I believe it was a ghost or boo house level, boo mansion level, whatever they're called. And, or is it just ghost house? I don't know. Where you had to keep hitting these timer blocks. And if the timer ran out, then the blocks went away. And I legit could not make it in time going to grab the coin and go to the block. I died. Pretty positive I died. I got the coin. So I just didn't have to do that again. That challenge was completely removed. That's where I'm not understanding. I genuinely don't get, and I was thinking that maybe the game would show some indication to where if you beat a level in one go, getting all the coins in the top of the flagpole, that there'd be some sort of like indication on the hub world or the stats thing. I thought maybe there'd be something there. As far as I know, there's not. So I genuinely don't get why they made some of the coins the way they did, where it's like a challenge to get them, because you legitimately can just get it, die, and then you have it. I do not understand that. And it was to the point where, because there was one time where I swear it didn't save the coin. So I started checking after that had happened. Never had an issue after that. So I genuinely just don't get it. I know I've just been talking on and on about this one thing, but it's because this one thing is what really made the game not everything it could be for me. Just for me. Just personally for me. This game is amazing. So who cares if I'm one of the people that I did enjoy it, but I'm not going to be able to get as much out of it, I guess, because I've been considering maybe speedrunning it, but I don't really stream anymore, so I don't know if I'm going to bother with that. Um, yeah, it just sucks because everything else, checkmark. They nailed it. The designs, the creativity, the movement, the customization with the badges and how you, I guess I shouldn't say customization, but the freedom of being able to beat the levels the way you want, get the unlockables the way you want, because sometimes there'd be something like up in the air or whatever, and they definitely intended you to do some sort of thing. I vividly remember there was one, I think it was like a block or something, and I was supposed to use, I think, like the digging tool to go like up on the ceiling and hit it. And near the pipe there was like a wall and then like a dent and then a wall, then a dent. So they tried to make it to where you couldn't wall jump and hit it. And I'm pretty sure I got the angle and got it. So there were fun things like that where it was like that freedom of like, yeah, I'm gonna still try this, and that, like, Mario Odyssey had it too. It was something that I feel like the older games would have, and then at some point it kind of wasn't always there. And I feel like Mario Odyssey had it too, where it was like your your ability was the only thing that would get in the way of what you wanted to do. Like you had to really like if you saw something, it was kind of like up to you if you were up for the challenge of doing it a certain way. And you didn't have to do everything by the books. And that's, to me, what makes games fun, is that you don't have to do everything by the books. They may intend a certain way, but if you figure something else out and it works, they don't punish you for that. It's like, cool, you did it. So, and I didn't mean ability as in like, like, oh, like you suck if you can't do it. I just mean like, there were some very weird creative ways you could come up with to do things, and it was kind of up to you to be like, okay, do you want to like sit down and really try to get this? So I don't know. This game is honestly incredible, and it's just so weird because I don't think I don't even know how I would rank it. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, maybe I'm just becoming an old fart. I don't know. Maybe that's where it's like, if I was a kid, I would have just kept playing it, and that it would have been whatever. But I really do think that the coin change made it to where that challenge was just ripped right out, because I just would get the coin. It didn't it wasn't even on my mind of, like, sure, I would try to do it the way they wanted and keep going through the level. But if I died, I literally was just like, whatever, because I knew I had it. So it's kind of a shame, and it really does make me question why they even bothered. Not for every case. Like, obviously the ones that are hidden, it makes sense to have that challenge. Like, you have to find it. But the ones where it was like, they'd put it in a corner where something was timed, and if you didn't do it fast enough, you could die. I don't even get why that was even there if you can just grab the coin, die, and then have the coin. I genuinely do not understand it. It makes me honestly wonder if we're supposed to be getting like a patch or an update or DLC, because I don't get that one change. I don't understand it. But look, I don't want to just keep rambling on this negative side of it, because this is just me. The game is incredible, and I feel like for most people, they're not going to care about this one little gripe. So that's just how I feel. But please don't take this as like this game sucks, because it absolutely does not. It's just so weird for me to be completely done with the game already. And again, you could just go, well, you have no life. But for how fast I beat it, I don't think that really applies. Not saying that I don't have a life. I'm just saying, like, if you want to try to say that, I don't think it applies. I just, for a $60 game, I was not expecting to finish it in one weekend. But like I said, everything else nailed it. So let's end off on a positive note. Very curious, though, what other people think. If other people do feel the same way I do about that one change kind of making the entire difficulty just completely change. Because to me, I feel like it did. But that's all I have to say about this. Take care.